And how are you all? Hope you all are fine and doing well. My name is Naresh. Welcome to our channel Physics Plaza. Today, lecture number 3 on calorimetry. Children, in a previous class, we discussed what are the factors on which heat absorbed or heat rejected depend. Then we discussed heat capacity, and it is also called a thermal capacity. And then we discussed specific heat capacity. Then today lecture, what are we going to discuss? Children, today lecture, before going to start our concept, just I want to give a clarity between calorie, heat capacity and specific capacity. Let us see once again here. Children, means always there will be a confusion. Always children will be asking, sir, though we are like reading calorie and specific capacity and heat capacity, whenever we are writing what answers in exam, there will be confusion, and instead of specific capacity we are writing heat capacity, or instead of heat capacity we are writing calorie. Children, to avoid that only, just I am going to give you a clarity, a picture. Look at here, simple picture I will give you. Children, let us consider here, it is 1 gram of water, 1 gram of water, 1 gram of water, and here let us take a unit mass. Let us take, here it is a unit mass, whereas here let us consider whole body, water it may be, it's a whole mass we will consider, Children, here in this case, let us say it is initially at 14.5 degrees Celsius. In all these cases, in all these three cases, children, in all these three cases, we want to raise the temperature by same amount, that is delta T is equal to 1 degree Celsius. Here also delta T is equal to 1 degree Celsius. Here also delta T is equal to 1 degree Celsius. Please try to understand the amount of mass is considered. It's very important. Here 1 gram of water, it's a unit mass, it's a whole mass. But especially when we discuss calorie, as we know that water shows anomalous expansion of this one, anomalous expansion. Due to that, to avoid that problem only, so we will consider from 14.5 degrees Celsius to 15.5 degrees Celsius. Of course, change in temperature is 1 degree Celsius only. Actually, in this case, the amount of heat required is called as a calorie, whereas in this case, the amount of heat required is called what we can call specific heat capacity, whereas in this case, the amount of heat required is called thermal capacity. Children, please write it. I will give you simple definitions now. The amount of heat required to raise a temperature of 1 gram of water from 14.5 degrees Celsius to 15.5 degrees Celsius is called calorie. Hope I am very much clear. Then, what is specific heat capacity? The amount of heat required to raise a temperature of unit mass of a substance by 1 degree Celsius is called specific heat capacity. And comes to the thermal capacity. The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of whole mass will consider. The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of whole body by 1 degree Celsius is called thermal capacity, or simply heat capacity we can call. Okay, children, this is all about calorie, specific heat capacity and heat capacity. Then today lecture, what are we going to learn? Children, today we will have a little bit, some more discussion regarding specific heat capacity. Then we will discuss principle of calorimetry. Then we will discuss calorimeter. So let us put side once again, it is specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity will represent with the letter C. Children, did you remember the formula? Come on, think. Yes, specific heat capacity. Actually, we got a formula like this: Q is equal to mc delta T. From here only, we can write like this: C is equal to Q by m delta T. C is equal to Q by m delta T. Children, can I write this like this? 1 by m into Q by delta T. Children, what is this Q by delta T is called? Come on, think. Is something coming to your mind? Q by delta T, Q by delta T, yes, yes, yes. Q by delta T is what? Q by delta T is thermal capacity. It is a C dash. It is a C dash. C dash. So please substitute in the place of Q by delta T, you can substitute C dash. It will be C is equal to C dash by M. C dash by M. C dash by M. So from this, what can we write, dear children? We can write C dash is equal to M into C. Children, this is a very, very, very important relation between specific heat capacity and thermal capacity. Children, from this formula, we also can define specific heat capacity. How can we define? The heat capacity per unit mass, the thermal capacity per unit mass is called specific heat capacity. Children, by using this formula, again we are going to solve a few numericals. Specific heat thermal capacity is equal to mass into specific heat capacity. It's a very, very important. Please note down, dear children. Please note down. Yeah, children. Hope you have copied. Children, here now we'll see the comparison between specific heat capacity and a thermal capacity. It's a very, very important. Very means very much important. The very important thing is that here, let us see here, specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity, it is C, and here is thermal capacity, that is C dash, thermal capacity. Children, first you can write a definition, that is, what is specific heat capacity? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mass of a substance by 1 degree Celsius is called specific heat capacity. You can formula here, it is Q by M delta T. Then what is thermal capacity? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of whole body, to raise the temperature of whole body by 1 degree Celsius. The formula is C dash is equal to Q by delta T. Q by delta T. The first point. And here let us write the units. The SI units of specific heat capacity are joule per kg Kelvin. Whereas here, dear children, the SI units of thermal capacity are joule per simply Kelvin. Joule per Kelvin. And the very, 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 very important point is that specific heat capacity, it depends only on mass. It depends only on mass. Sorry. It's not depends only on nature of the material. Nature of the material. It does not depend on the mass. Whereas thermal capacity, children, it not only depends on nature but also mass of the substance. Very important. It depends on nature of material, and as well as it also depends on mass of the material. Please copy this, children. Yes, fine. Now we'll see with one example, with a small example, we'll get more clarity about specific heat capacity and thermal capacity. Children, let us consider here some 10 grams mass, and here it is some 50 grams mass, and here let us consider some 700 grams. It's called 700 grams. So let us say here is a water. 10 grams of water is taken. 10 grams of water. Here 50 grams of water is taken. 50 grams of water. And here 700 grams of water is taken. And children, here very one important thing is that of all known substances, water has highest specific heat capacity. Please note down, children. Of all known substances, water has highest specific heat capacity. So what is its value? In examination, children, they'll ask you to write also even. The specific heat capacity of water is 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius. Sir, you said that water has highest specific heat capacity value, but you are writing only 1. Still, I think you are not happy with the 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius. Okay. So to make ourselves happy, let us express its value in SI system. So which is equivalent to the 4200 joule per kg Kelvin. So when you can think about 1 calorie, only 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius, whereas 4200 joule per kg Kelvin, of course, but both are equal only, both are equivalent. Okay, fine. Come back to this point. Children, here water with the 10 grams, 50 grams, 700 grams, different masses we discussed. As already told you that specific heat capacity of the material depends on only nature. Means in this case, the specific capacity of water is 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius only. Here also it is 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius only. But whereas here also 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius only. Why it has same value? Because the nature is same. The nature, specific heat capacity depends only on the nature of the material but not on the mass. Then what about heat capacity or thermal capacity? Children, we know that thermal capacity is equal to mass into specific heat capacity. Mass into specific heat capacity. So in this case, C dash is equal to mass is how much? 10 grams. Here specific capacity is 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius. Gram get cancelled. Of course, every time you don't need to substitute the values with the units actually. Just as an example I am giving you. So it is 10 into 1, it will be 10 calorie per degree Celsius. So in this case, the specific capacity of 10 grams of water is 10 calorie per degree Celsius. Then what about here in a second case? So here C dash is equal to, what is the mass given? 50 grams now. It is a 50 into specific capacity of water is how much? 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius. 50 into 1, it will be 50 calorie per degree Celsius. Now in this case, let us calculate the thermal capacity is equal to mass is given how much here? 700, and specific capacity of water is given 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius. It will 1 into, so 700 into 1, it will be how much, dear children? 700 calorie per degree Celsius. Now children, with this we will get a complete picture about specific capacity and thermal capacity. Children, here we have taken 10 grams of water, 50 grams of water, 700 grams of water. But in these three cases, the specific capacity value is same. Why? Because specific capacity depends only on the nature of the material. But whereas thermal capacity not only depends on the nature but also means though nature is same, if we will consider the different masses, different amounts of substance, if we can consider, the thermal capacity also will be different. This is what actually. Here it is water only, here it is water only, here it is water. But difference is that here 10 grams of water, for 10 grams of water, the thermal capacity is 10 calorie per gram degree Celsius. For 50 grams of water, its value is 50 calorie per degree Celsius. For 700 grams of water, its value is 700 calorie per degree Celsius. Which means what here? Thermal capacity depends on mass also. It's a very important. Children, hope I am very much clear with this. Please copy it. Yes. Now, we will get into the one important point here, children. Before going to discuss the consequence of high specific capacity of water actually. Children, if you want to understand that, you should understand how specific capacity of a given material depends on change in temperature. Children, look at here. So, specific capacity is equal to, we know this formula, it is Q by M delta T. Children, for a given amount of heat, for a given mass, C is inversely proportional to the delta T. Here, what is delta T, dear children? Delta T is, it might be rise in temperature or fall in temperature. Then what is the meaning of this C is inversely proportional to delta T? Children, please note down, please write down. It's very, very important. Please write down. the material with high specific capacity will show low rise in temperature or low fall in temperature. I repeat once. The material with high specific capacity will show low rise in temperature or low fall in temperature. Whereas the material with less specific capacity will show more rise in temperature or more fall in temperature. Not clear? With one simple example we will understand this. With a simple example. Children, here let us take a small example here. Case 1 let us take here. Case 1 means during heating, let us say. During heating what will happen? Heat is absorbed. Okay. Here let us take two materials. Here is block A and here is a block B. Block A and block B. So both are like a 1 kg mass and 1 kg mass. Same amount of mass is considered. Same amount of mass is considered. And we want to raise the temperature of these two bodies by same amount. That is delta T is equal to, okay, let us take example only. It is for example 15 degrees Celsius. It is also 50 degrees Celsius. 15 degrees Celsius. Or else, dear children, okay, just wait, let me give you more clarity here. So, they are the two substances, and let us take, here is water, no doubt about it, it is a water, and here it is a copper, here it is a copper. It's a very simple, or else just wait a second. Fine children, there is a problem with the lighting, fine. So, in order to understand this point actually, let us consider two materials. Let us say it is material A, it is material B. For suppose its specific capacity is given like 400 joule per kg Kelvin, and its specific capacity is given 100 joule per kg Kelvin. So, it is also 1 kg mass only, is taken. Children, during heating what I said that definitely during heating will provide the heat, so that what happens, the bodies will absorb the heat. For the same amount of heat we are supplying, for suppose here 50 joule of heat we are supplying, then what will happen, there will be some rise in temperature obviously. So, let us suppose initially body A is at 10 degrees Celsius, whereas body B is at also let us say 10 degrees Celsius only. When we supply same amount of heat to these two bodies, what happened? There will be a rise in temperature, but we will notice that the body A temperature raised from 10 degrees Celsius to 15 degrees Celsius, whereas the body B temperature raised from 10 degrees Celsius to, for example, 100 degrees Celsius. Means what is the change in temperature in this? The change in temperature in body A is delta TA is equal to, it is 15 minus 10, it will be only 5 degrees Celsius. Whereas here it is delta TB is equal to 100 minus 10, it is 90 degrees Celsius. So, children, in which case there will be more rise in temperature, or which body is showing more rise in temperature? It's very clear, it's body B, not body A. The reason is that body A has more specific capacity, so it is showing less rise in temperature, whereas the body B with less specific capacity is showing more rise in temperature. This is what actually meaning. And during cooling also, let us see. For suppose same bodies, here is a body A, same bodies, dear children, so body A only, and here is body B. Suppose initially both are at same temperature, 60 degrees Celsius. Now from these two bodies, same amount of heat is rejected. Let us say here minus 50 joule, here minus 50 joule. Heat is rejected. Children, when a heat is rejected, what happens? The temperature falls. So, in this case, we will notice that the temperature is falling from 60 degrees Celsius to for example 40 degrees Celsius. Whereas here temperature is falling from 60 degrees Celsius to, for suppose it is a 10 degrees Celsius. Then what is the fall in temperature in this case? That is delta TA is equal to 60 minus 40. It will be 20 degrees Celsius. 20 degrees Celsius. Whereas here fall in temperature is how much, dear children? Here fall in temperature delta TB is equal to 60 minus 10. It will be how much? 50 degrees Celsius. 50 degrees Celsius. Of course, if you can do final minus initial, we will get negative. It's not a matter here. So please try to observe here. Means the body A with more specific capacity is showing less rise in temperature and even less fall in temperature. Whereas body B with body B with a less specific capacity is showing more rise in temperature or more fall in temperature. This is actually meaning of this. C is inversely proportional to delta T. Children, I repeat once. The material with more specific capacity will show more rise in, will show less rise in temperature or less fall in temperature. Whereas the material with low specific capacity will show more rise in temperature or more fall in temperature. It's very, very, very important. And examination point of view, let us try to solve one question. Let us discuss. We'll take one more example so that you'll get a more clarity. Children, this is what very important in order to understand the consequence of high specific capacity of water. C is equal to delta T. Children, here two materials are given. For example, it is, let us say here, material A is given and here is material B. Let us take two materials. So it is material A and here material B. Of course, both are like having same mass, let us say. So 1 kg and it is also 1 kg only. Let us take bit far so that it will be more easy. From here let us consider it is material A, okay, it is material A and here it is material B. Children, both are different materials, which means what? Both will have different specific heat capacities. For suppose the specific capacity of this material A is, for suppose it is 200 joule per kg Kelvin. Whereas the specific capacity of material B is let us suppose it is 600 or else let us take it is 1000 joule per kg Kelvin. It is given like this and both are having same mass 1 kg and 1 kg only. Of course, that is the meaning of this 200 joule per kg Kelvin, right? Which means both should have a same mass. And here the question is that which of these two is preferred as a best conductor? Children can think. Means material A with 200 joule per kg Kelvin or material B with 1000 joule per kg Kelvin. So which of these two is preferred as a best conductor? Children, to understand that, let us take a for suppose here we are supplying same amount of heat to this body A and body B. For suppose here some 2000 joule of heat is given and here also 2000 joule of heat is given for suppose. And what is the meaning of this 200 joule per kg Kelvin? If it is like a 1 kg and here also 1 kg, then this body will absorb 200 joules of heat energy to show the rise in temperature by 1 Kelvin. Okay, the rise in temperature also let us take it as 1 Kelvin in both cases. Let us take a rise in temperature 1 Kelvin. Then how much it is absorbed by this body? It will absorb 200 joule. Dear children. Then what is the output heat? So here out of this 2000 joule, 200 joules of heat is absorbed. Then output will be 1800 joule. Whereas in this case, the body B, the specific capacity of body B is 1000 joule per kg Kelvin, which means what? As it is a 1 kg body and we want to raise the temperature by 1 Kelvin. So here it absorbs how much amount of heat, dear children? 1000 joules heat is absorbed by the body B. So as body B is absorbing 1000 joules of heat, then what is the output here? Only 1000 joules. Now here just try to think, dear children. which of these two bodies absorbs more amount of heat? No doubt about it, it is a body B. Body B is absorbing the more amount of heat, and whereas body A is allowing the more amount of heat to pass through it. Children, it's very important. Body B is absorbing the more amount of heat, whereas body A is allowing the more amount of heat to pass through it. So first you think, how can you decide best conductor of heat means what actually? Should it absorb the more amount of heat or should it allow the more amount of heat? The body which allow the more amount of heat to pass through it actually is the best conductor of heat. So here which the best conductor here? I can say that here body A is a best conductor here. Out of these two I am talking. Out of these two, it is a best conductor. Why? Because it is not absorbing the much heat compared with the body B. So what can we say when in an example the question is given like this: two bodies with a specific capacity 200 joule per kg Kelvin and 1000 joule per kg Kelvin. Then which of the two bodies is preferred as the best conductor and why? Children, you can write it is a body A. The material with, the substance with less specific capacity is the best conductor. The reason is that it can absorb the less amount of heat to show the same rise in temperature when we compare with the body, other body. Hope I am very much clear with this. Yes, this is what actually very important. Children, these kind of questions definitely we will expect in an examination. Now children, one more very important concept is principle of calorimetry. Please write out, it is principle of calorimetry. Principle of calorimetry. Children, it's a very important. Almost all numericals based on this concept I am talking, based on this principle of calorimetry. Children, it is also called as principle of method of mixture. Please write down. Principle of method. Please note down. Principle of method of mixture. And this principle of calorimetry is based on law of conservation of energy. Law of conservation of energy. Children, did you remember law of conservation of energy which we discussed in the work power energy? According to law of conservation of energy, energy neither created nor lost. It's very important, but can be transferred. So there shouldn't be any energy loss. Okay, children, let us start here. Let us consider here two bodies, body A and here is body B. Two bodies with a different mass. The mass of the body A is m1 and the specific capacity is C1, and initially it is at a temperature T1. Whereas body B, the mass of the body B is m2, the specific capacity is C2 and the initial temperature is T2. Children, here out of this A and B, which is a hot body, which is a cold body? Unless we know the T1 value, T2 value, so we cannot say which one is a hot body, which one is a cold body. Okay, let us take the condition. T1 is greater than T2. Then A is a hot body, whereas B is cold body. Children, when these two bodies are connected, then what will happen? Heat will flow from hot body to cold body. Means, can we say that hot body is losing the heat, whereas cold body is gaining the heat? So due to which the temperature of hot body falls, whereas the temperature of cold body rises. Then what actually principle of calorimetry says? According to principle of calorimetry, dear children, the heat lost by the hot body, let us write down here, heat lost by the hot body. Children, please note down, heat lost by hot body is equal to heat gained gained by cold body. Heat gained by cold body. But here one condition is there. As there shouldn't be any loss of heat, means there is no the energy is not lost to the atmosphere surrounding. It's very you have to mention. As there is no heat lost to the surroundings or atmosphere, heat lost by the hot body is equal to heat gained by the cold body. Now dear children, so till what extent this flow of heat it takes place actually? Till both bodies attain same temperature, means both should come to the thermal equilibrium. So let us suppose here capital TV is a temperature in a thermal equilibrium state. Then how to calculate this temperature, that is the final temperature or resultant temperature? How to calculate? Let us see, dear children. So first, if you want to calculate the resultant temperature, dear children, we must know what is the change in temperature in a hot body and what is the change in temperature in a cold body. Look at here. Children, here T1 is a initial temperature of hot body, T is a resultant temperature. Means T1 is always greater than T, dear children. T1 is always greater than T. Then the change in temperature in a hot body is equal to T1 minus T. Whereas when compared with T, that is the resultant temperature, cold body temperature is always less. So T2 is less than T. Or we can write like this: T is greater than T2. So then what is a rise in temperature? Children, delta T1 is a fall in temperature and delta 2 is a rise in temperature. How to calculate? It can be calculated this: T minus T2. And according to the principle of calorimetry, just now we discussed, according to the principle of calorimetry, heat lost by hot body is equal to heat gained by cold body. Means let us calculate the heat loss by the hot body and heat gained by the cold body and equate both, then we will get the resultant temperature. But how to calculate heat loss or heat gain? Children, in a last class we discussed that Q is equal to mc delta T. It is a formula used to calculate either heat lost or heat gained. Let us apply the same formula for hot body and cold body. So it will become, in the place of m, you have to write m1 c1 delta T1. Look at here, it is m1 c1 delta T1 is equal to m2 c2 delta T2. But children, what is the delta T1? It is fall in temperature of hot body, that is T1 minus T. Please substitute here. It is m1 c1 into T1 minus T. So which is equal to m2 c2 into T minus T2. Children, just multiply with this inner terms. So what we are going to get, come on, what are we going to get here? m1 c1 into T1, m1 c1 T1 minus m1 c1 T is equal to m2 c2 into T minus m2 c2 T2. So it will be m2 c2 T minus m2 c2 T2. Is it right? Once let's check. m1 c1 T1, m1 c1 T. Yes, it is right. Now children, get this term this side and get this term this side. Let us exchange. Here m1 c1 T1 plus m2 c2 T2 is equal to m1 c1 T plus m2 c2 T. Children, here we can take a T as a common. Yes, let us take a T as a common. T into m1 c1 plus m2 c2, and on the left side the term will be as usual, m1 c1 T1 plus m2 c2 T2. Now as we need to calculate the resultant temperature, get this term this side. So it will be T is equal to m1 c1 T1 plus m2 c2 T2 by m1 c1 plus m2 c2. Children, this is a final expression to calculate the resultant temperature or temperature in a thermal state. Children, when we use this formula to calculate resultant temperature, when both bodies with a different masses, different specific capacities and different temperatures are added, then we use this formula. If not, sometimes the children, both bodies might be same in nature. Both bodies might be same in nature. If both bodies are same in nature, then C1 is equal to C2. Okay, let us write. Note, it's very important. Children, please write down one note. It's very, very important. If both bodies are same in nature, then specific capacities will be same. That is, C1 is equal to C2 is equal to C. C1 is equal to C2 is equal. So what can we write here? T is equal to, here C will be common. So here M1C T1 plus M2C T2 by, it will be M1C plus M2C. Children, here in a numerator you can take C as a common, denominator you can take a C as a common. Then what do we get? Come on, write down. C of M1 T1 plus M2 T2 by C of M1 plus M2. So C will get cancelled. So finally we got T is equal to M1C T1 plus, C already got cancelled. So what is left here? M1 T1 plus M2 T2 by, it is M1 plus M2. So children, this is also formula to calculate the resultant temperature. When we use this formula, both bodies should be same nature. For suppose here it should be water, hot water and cold water. Yes, children. So when situation where we have a situation where we are adding the hot water and cold water with different temperatures and different masses, then we use this formula. Why? Either it is a hot water or cold water. The specific capacity is same actually. Children, this is what actually principle of calorimetry. Here three things we have to remember. What is that here? First thing, principle of calorimetry. It is also called as principle of method of mixture. Why we are calling principle of method of mixture? Because different substances with different temperatures are added. And this principle of calorimetry is based on law of conservation of energy. Means energy is getting transferred, energy is not wasted. And what actually principle of calorimetry? So it says that the heat lost by the hot body is equal to the heat gained by the cold body, provided there is no heat loss to the temperature, heat loss like to the surroundings or any atmosphere. Okay children, this is what actually principle of calorimetry. Please copy it.